here's the Firefighters Museum. They got one of the first fire trucks right there. Some of the old ones. We'll go take a look at them all. They're pretty cool. Look at this old steam thing. Wow. 1911 technology. Look at this thing here. Now these would have been towed by a horse. And hence the hitch there. 1890. And of course, Yarmouth back then would have been one of the richest towns in North America at the time. So these would have been all state-of-the-art for their time. This one looks like a John Deere tractor style.
School started. Yeah, how do you care?
1925. Wow.
It should be all over all of them.
That big? Well, I wasn't that big in here.
We're not that bad.
He loves Wii U's. Yeah, this is a Wii U. It's fire truck. What?
You wouldn't even notice them.
Carry about 1,000 feet of hose on it. 1910. Wow.
Okay, we don't need
I mean, quite the thing. There's some other old ones.
Okay, we can look at that.
Wow. If anyone knows what these things are actually for, why they would have pressurized it. Maybe it's just to pressurize the hose. But if anyone knows, just comment below. I'd love to really know. These are some of the old nozzles. Steam fire truck. Looks more like the artillery colors with the blue and the red.
You know this?
It's kind of neat.
This is, this
This is
is
a map of Yarmouth from 1889. And my old house is right there. Somewhere around there anyway. Pretty cool. See if we can actually find my house. Chestnut elm. There's the old Milton School area. My house would have been right there. Yeah, and then that's the house that got switched with it. And of course, Stars Road is going to be right in here. Pretty cool. Of course, most of our downtown buildings are still intact. And then down on the waterfront, the only building still standing is the Killam building. So pretty interesting stuff. It's always neat to come through here and take a look at all this. 1892. Wow. This is one of the other ones. Nice drawings and stuff. $200 reward offered to the person who gives information that will lead to the conviction of persons who set fire to the old wooden mill on April 11th. 16th. Oh, see, not even 1918. Of course, these are the old fire alarms that would have been at the end of the block. And if your house was on fire, someone would run down and hopefully pull that. Those are the old clocks. And the radio sets that they would have used. Pretty cool. These are some of the fires that happened in Yarmouth over the years. Wow. Hey Jack, what do you think of the Firefighter Museum so far?
good.
It's cool, lots of neat things, and we're on the elevator ride. And here we go to the second floor.
Wow.
So much history here. You know, it's pretty good that our town has quite a few museums. For a small town, we have a lot of museums to look at and to know the history. behind all this stuff. Hopefully some of you guys can leave me some good comments on exactly what all this stuff would have been used for. It would be interesting to know. Today they're very busy. It's a free museum day here in Yarmouth, so the staff are busy doing tours with all the kids around town.
This is stuff they found. What is that?
These are pretty cool. 1854. Holy smokes. I guess they would have each kind of stood on these sides to get this thing to pressurize for the hose. That'd be my guess. Anyway, yeah, here we go. Here's a picture of it in operation. Oh, geez, that would have been miserable. What's this one? 1860. Wow. I don't think back then they were putting out too many fires. I think they were just trying to control the blaze and pray that it only affected one or two houses and not the whole town. It was scary times back then when something caught on fire. It wasn't uncommon for whole sections of towns to burn. $1880s. Yeah. 1840. Whew, getting old here. Okay, 1842. Purchased in 1890, town of Lunenburg, which is of course about maybe 2 hours away from here. Wow. It's kind of an honor to have something like this, you know, in our town. This thing looks like they'd have to reach way up to pull it down. I wonder what year this trailer would be. Okay, this one went to Hebron, which is a small little community. Kind of now it's encompassed right into the town. But would have been a long distance away if you had to go by horse, that's for sure. Because it is probably about, I think maybe 5 kilometers from here, maybe a little less, maybe 4 kilometers from here. So this is the second floor again. And the good thing is about this building, this was actually the fire hall for a number of years till we built the new one up on Pleasant Street. So this would have been where the firefighters would have lived. I was hoping to see the old pole to go down to the main room, but maybe for safety they took it out.
Probably Ryan Graves right now.
Yeah.
He's playing for Colorado Avalanche.
He's in hockey, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I've heard of his name. He just got signed, didn't he?
Ryan Graves, yes.
Yeah. Like that was like literally within a year.
Yes.
Yeah. I wonder what his signing bonus was. Yeah, but that's what kind of shocks people, like from a small town.
Yeah.
You know, we have the hockey things for people to be into.
Yeah.
That, you know, that they can get their foundation that they need and then go on to do amazing things.
Yeah. Yeah, he signed for $750,000 a year.
Yeah.
And $350,000 if he plays in the minors.
Yeah. That's quite a bit.
Yeah, that's pretty bad for playing hockey.
I mean, even Sidney Crosby came from our province, so he would have been in the same kind of hockey league playing against them.
Do you know any people in here, or you just... Yeah. Oh, you? Okay.
This is the Sports Heritage Museum here in Yarmouth. And it always shocks me how many really good players in every kind of sport you can imagine come from here. You know, all the way from curling to hockey, track and field even,
Yeah.
bowling.
Yeah,
What other
there's
sports we
everything
play
over
here?
the
We do
years.
everything.
There are lots over the years, for sure.
Gymnastics, you know, even into the Highland dancing that's here.
Yes, yeah.
It's pretty crazy. Here's an old chart of Nova Scotia from 1774, I believe. Let's see here. Yeah, somewhere around that ballpark. It's kind of interesting. And of course we know from the early charts that were made way before this, they actually excluded Mahone Bay where Oak Island is, which is very interesting. So it's good to see by this time that they actually included that on the map. Alright, so we're on one of my favorite streets here in Yarmouth, and we're going to go into the museum over here. And the reason why it's my favorite is because you have these beautiful homes. And we're going to come into this house here later. Going to go into the actual museum first. But this used to be the museum. I think it was the town library too, if I remember correctly, way back. I know my history. And I think it's privately owned and run as a B&B. And this is one of the additions that the museum did. And here's the old museum. Now we're in my favorite museum that I've been coming here for years. And the reason why it's my favorite is because they're really into shipbuilding here. And I lived in an old sea captain's home that was built in 1872. And of course I'll put the link to that video at the very end of this video if you want to see a tour of that house. And all the other historical homes in Yarmouth. Here's the original Yarmouth light. Of course there would have been a huge bulb in there. And then this thing here is a 3D painting that, regardless of which way you look, I don't know if it's going to show up on the camera, but the ship will always face you. If I can come over here, and of course the ship is pointing towards you at all directions, which is pretty neat. So this museum really concentrates on our shipbuilding history in Yarmouth, which is amazing. Like I said, this was one of the richest towns in North America back in the day. And Yarmouth was almost the capital of Nova Scotia for a while. Hi. And wow, they actually did build a big addition that I hadn't seen yet. But out of all the museums I've ever been into all over the world, this is probably my favorite. Probably because I like the time frame and kind of lived in one of the old houses. And I also love ships, as most of you guys know. So it works for me quite a bit. And there's actually a painting in here of Captain Bowman Corkum, who built my house that I lived in as a kid, which is really neat too. Oh, of course you know what this one here is for. They used to put some coals in there and then put it underneath the bed to keep the bed warm. Don't know how effective that was in working. But look at that craftsmanship. Wow. Of course you can tell they hit the edge on accident. But wow, look at that. The amount of work they used to do, and to get that built these days costs you a fortune. Oh. Oh, look at the gown. Seems like it has like an Asian flair to it. I'm gonna go on this new edition here. I thought it was the archives of it, but I guess they kind of added on. Can't say I've ever been in this side of it. Old ship's wheel. Wow. Oh, look at that old piano. Holy smokes. Wow. Let's go see what this is. 1874. Wow. Look at those. Of course, back in that time period, you know, the people in this town had the money to buy this stuff from all over the world and have it imported here. And there's the archives. for the town. Okay. This is by far my favorite section of this museum. Is the basement. Why exactly, I don't know, but as a kid I used to come in here and look at all this stuff and just be utterly amazed / scared. Because they always have a really interesting thing. The glassware. Look at those little shoes for kids. They're just too cute. Wow. Look at all that stuff. Wow. Pretty neat. Pretty neat. I used to keep all the freaky things down here. Such as the biggest lobster they've ever seen. And some very interesting things. Oh, here's the biggest lobster. Look how big that thing is. For perspective, there's my hand, and obviously the lobster's under there. So his claw is much bigger than my hand. Of course, Markland. And then we had the Markland Hotel here too, way back. And I believe there is a, we had a Titanic one in here. Yeah, this is one of the freaky rooms that always freaked me out. Is these kind of displays. And as a kid coming in here, you'd be pretty freaked out with all these things staring at you. So if you're into these things, leave a comment below. Because they freak me out. Getting out of there. Of course, there's more toys. Yeah, Yarmouth has a connection to the Titanic, and they believe that one of the ships from Yarmouth was actually there the night that the Titanic sank. So the museum put on a display of all the Titanic stuff that we have here. And it was pretty interesting that they included that mystery ship from the Titanic.
This is a soft fish.
Whoa, jeez, scare me. Such a neat place. There's all the old cameras from way back. And of course, you always need a ram horn chair, which I believe is a ram horn. Old sewing machine. This is the dungeon if you were bad. I'm just kidding. Here's the blacksmith. But what a good job they've done. Hopefully you can see that. I'll take a picture of it in case you can. So here's some of our war stuff. And of course, Yarmouth played a huge part in both World War I and World War II. And we even had an air squadron here, as well as a Navy ship, Chabog. And then, of course, a military horse artillery unit at the time.
Pretty awesome.
So we're pretty rich in history from the war times. So what is this big ball? And, okay, tell us the story. We're listening.
So in 1963, there was a fire down at Killam's Wharf, and one of the boats that was in caught on fire, and that boat happened to be a circus boat. So all the animals were evacuated, and during all that kind of nonsense that was going on, this ball fell off of the vessel and started floating out to sea, and eventually landed on somebody's lawn. And then they figured out what it was, brought it into us, and we have it here. So it belonged to Shirley the elephant, who lives in a Tennessee elephant sanctuary today, and she is 70 years old, and we Skyped her for her 70th birthday.
Aww.
So the elephant's still alive.
Yeah.
What year did that
So
boat
cool.
catch on fire?
That'd be 63, 1963.
1963, the circus boat caught on fire, and then all the animals ran up Main Street, I do believe, including a tiger.
I don't know much
ran
about
down on
what
Main
happened to the town.
Wow.
Yeah.
More on the
on the fire at the Firefighters Museum.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
So it's pretty interesting. And all those circus animals got loose. They had to round them all up around town. What do you think of the Yarmouth Museum? Good. And of course, we just came from the art gallery. Don't know how much of the art gallery I'm allowed to film, so we'll see how much I put on this video. I'll hopefully can blur out a lot of the artwork there. Gonna go over next door because the museum was actually, I think, gifted this beautiful old mansion, and now it's open to the public as part of the museum. So we're gonna go over and take a look at it, which is really interesting. And of course, when we were at the art gallery, they got a photo of Maud Lewis's granddaughter right there. So that'll be interesting too. So let's go take a little peek at this beautiful old wooden home that's part of the Yarmouth Museum now. You guys ready to go in? Now Jack, make sure you don't touch anything, okay?
What's in here?
This was like an old original mansion. It even smells like an old original mansion. Kind of like Grandma's house. But wow. You see all the work they did on the ceiling? The crown moldings even, and all the molding work around there.
A piano.
Neat. Yeah, they got a piano. I think this is the lady's house. I think her last name was Feller, I think. I can't remember correctly. I'd have to look that up. If anyone knows whose home this originally was, please leave it in the comments. I'm gonna sign the guest book here, and maybe I can find out and share it. So this Yarmouth businessman went all the way down into Connecticut. Of course, Hartford is one of my favorite cities in Connecticut. One of the last ones if you're going down to Florida. I always stop there. Love the city. And this is the house. Here's the old owners of the house. They would have been businessmen here in Yarmouth at the time. This bathroom was clearly added on, but a very tasteful addition, because none of these houses had an indoor bathroom back then. See at the dining room. Now, if you wonder why a lot of these houses had very thick window coverings, it was for heat back in the day. And then of course the room sizes, they kept relatively small so that they could heat each individual room. Now, this here would have been an addition. So, you can just tell by the moldings of it. Because these kitchens weren't all that big back in the day. So they had to kind of add on to them. Of course, they would have had servants back in the day. Looking after this, and of course the servants' quarters would always have a back entrance for the maid because she'd live upstairs. Of course, this would have been a bedroom converted into a bathroom. It's like I said, they wouldn't have washrooms in it. They'd have like an outhouse outside. Then of course a lot of people had a bedpan kind of a thing that they could go to a bathroom in. Another issue with these older homes is the closets were very small. People didn't have as many clothes as we used to have today.
It's a little trapped in here.
When you get a letter in the mail, you should just take that and cut it like there. It's in there.
Yeah. So this vase is actually from the 1870s. Fuller, he was the 11th of 12 children. He was born in Annapolis Valley to a farming family. When he was 20, he went to the U.S. to make his living, as was common at that time. He worked as a salesman for another company for a while, but he found that people wanted specific brushes from him that the company wasn't willing to make, and that's all. Remember Papa? Mm-hmm. So he bought this for $75, and he started to twist his own brushes at night and sell them while he was working for the other company.
This guy was
He was so successful that he put an ad in the paper and got 600 responses for salesmen and people to make these brushes. So his whole philosophy was to not be the stereotypical salesman. You know, get in people's faces. He always said to take a step back when you open the door. He would fix steps. He would do laundry, whatever that people needed at the time to sort of get a friendly, get free samples. There's a bunch of cartoons that people made about him right here.
Wow. I don't really know.
No, I don't think you would, huh?
I don't.
It's a bit old, so.
This is baby.
A lot of stuff.
Wow.
He titled his autobiography. The time did they die? That's 1950s. Flooring is 1970s, and the sink is 1980s. So there's quite a lot going on.
But it wasn't original to the house. Like when they first built the house, this would have been added on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
probably.
because they would have had an outhouse. So anyways, this guy was a very prominent businessman selling brushes. It's very interesting to find out. So I wasn't sure exactly what business he was into. So just to touch base on these kind of homes, they're very pretty, but all these walls would have been filled in with seaweed. And of course, as the seaweed dried out, it would fall down the walls, making these homes very cold in the winter time, unfortunately. So underneath these rugs is probably the original oak flooring or hardwood flooring, depending on what they would have put in here. Probably very similar to what's in the dining room. And then of course the floors would be so cold in the winter, as carpet got more available around this area, they always put them in. But beautiful, beautiful home. And these people had mega money. You're talking millions and millions of dollars. Multi-millions. So, I think that was their home in Hartford area. Absolutely beautiful. So nice that they have this opened up for people to see. And these would have been the social elite of their time, and even to today's standard, they would have had a massive amount of money. So we're at the Sweeney Fishing Museum. Of course, Sweeney is a huge fishing name here in Yarmouth. And here's one of their old plants, I believe. I know we had a fire down here at one point, so I'm guessing maybe the plant did catch on fire. And wow, what a job building a fishing shanty town. I never knew this was in here at all. Look at what they did. They even put the old knob and tube. Wow. Wow, what a job. And buoys. Huh. Old tackle and blocks. This is amazing. Okay, Sweeney Museum, you blew me away. No one in town ever told me it was quite this unique in here. So much stuff here that they would have been using. All those would have been on the old ships, of course. Wow.
Left to right. Take them up bush.
You find the washer? Lost it? Where? Why did you lose it up there? Someone found the light switch for this place. Wow. An old ship, wow. I think I'm gonna come back here when it's a little more quiet and maybe just film just this. So if I do, I'll attach it into the ending of this video when I do. Of course, this is actually a functioning fish plant, which is interesting. So it's probably their actual office for this fish plant. that's still in existence today. Of course, this would have been kind of what they looked like back in the day. This is cool. Let's go up the staircase, Jack. Wow.
Okay, we'll get one after. Just wait.
Yeah, this is amazing. There's Mr. Sweeney himself. Another very prominent businessman here in Yarmouth.
I know.
And there's their current business that's still in existence from, of course, the Sweeney fishing way back in the day. And of course, they process every kind of fish here, including swordfish. But what a job building this in. I still can't get over the work they did in here. Huh. They even put a whole ship in here for people to go through and kids to play on. It's like a little maze. Ooh, another one. Really hard to see in here, but
Not even going in there.
just stores. You want to go up on the boat? Hop aboard. The Yarmouth. You're allowed. Come on.
Mom, you come. I'm happy.
We're coming with you. We want to check out the boat too. The old oil suits that he would have worn. Absolutely crazy. Now, from my understanding, the Sweeney family actually built this museum to honor the fishing industry, which is remarkable that they would do that and spend this kind of money, you know, for our community to preserve some of the heritage of our fishing roots. And to build a whole boat in here, that took some time. Let's go explore this boat. There's probably lots of kids around today, which is fine. Whoa, look, you can even go in it. This is so cool. Ship's kitchen. Stores. Little ship's office. Oh, there's someone hiding. Communication room. Captain's room, right? Is that the captain's?
I do believe.
Maybe? Oh, he's got a nice little bunk.
There's also
I think that's just your size. Probably a little bit small for me, though. What's up there?
It's a steering.
Oh, the helm. Or the bridge. Okay, hop on it. Tight quarters. This is when I wish I wasn't a 200-pound man. This is more of a kid-sized boat.
Oh,
Excuse me.
sorry.
This is the captain's room. Of course, the fish hold would be there.
Sleep in there. That's where
Pilot house.
the crew would stay. You saw where the captain stays? This is where the crew would be.
Oh, there's the cruiser.